Discuss this now with the CEO of the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, Wayne Duvenage. Wayne, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning. So we heard there from Minister Kubai, who was reacting to the tragic death of Van der Merwe yesterday in terms of Witness D at the Madlanga Commission. And she was speaking about how transparency shouldn't supersede people's lives. In South Africa, do you think that we are in a place where transparency inadvertently compromises witness safety?
Yeah, it could do, but we think that the whole whistleblower protection process needs to take a different approach when it comes to protecting them and ensuring that they remain anonymous. So it's not about transparency in that regard. We need transparency in so much of what's happening when it comes to government procurement and so forth. But protecting whistleblowers requires a very, very different approach. I don't think the Commission has been, strong enough in that space and making sure that those witnesses who wanted to remain anonymous were definitely going to be anonymous and well protected. And that hasn't been the case, yeah.
So what then do you think is the media's role in terms of exposing some of the identities? I mean, the minister spoke extensively about this in terms of how at the beginning of the process, some media houses went for litigation against the commission in ensuring that people are able to hear some of these testimonies, even though voices may be distorted or we are unable to see faces. What role and where do we draw the line with regards to that balance?
Well, I think if a whistleblower or anybody in these processes wants to be anonymous, we need to ensure that that's the case, right down to voice recognition, masking, as well as facial masking. It must be so that nobody in that scenario is identifiable. Of course, people will put two and two together in some of the way evidence is given. But that's not the point. The point is that there's a lot more that has to be done. And I think, the media needs to understand that and toe the line.
There's a proposed whistleblower protection bill that aims to expand protections to volunteers as well as to contractors. What challenges do you foresee in the implementing of the broader protections without creating loopholes or unintended consequences?
I think, first of all, many whistleblowers, and the ones that we see it often, where they just fear for their lives. They don't want to come forward, but they've got so much vital information. And we've got to do everything we can to ensure that they feel safe, that they are protected. And when I say protected, not only for their lives, but just their livelihoods, because they get pushed out of their jobs, they're on trumped-up charges, they get suspended, they've got no funds to fight their cases, to be reinstated. And from there, it's a downhill ride for them. And they just don't want to go down that road, let alone the risk on their lives. And so what's important is that the whistleblower protection starts right there. Make sure that they have a safe place to go and report, to do the disclosures, and then from there on, good, strong assessment to say, right, we need to protect you. We need to make sure that you are not at risk, at your life and your livelihoods and your jobs. None of that is in place to the extent that it should be.
I mean, as outer, you've even had commentary on X with regards to whistleblowers reacting to the slain Marius Van der Merwe for telling the truth at the commission and asking how does accountability survive when witnesses and whistleblowers are being hunted. But there's also the story of Dumisho Mputi, who also stood up for the truth with regards to exposing some of the information that's regard to the seaters. We are waiting for, as you say, for him being the Minister of Department of Higher Education to do the right thing and investigate the CEO. She apparently at this point has been sidelined and hasn't been working for months because of those exposures. So when we come back to the bill, I mean, it also emphasizes confidentiality as well as external reporting mechanisms. Do you believe these will be sufficient in order to deter organized crime and corruption, and just also how whistleblowers are being dealt with when they come forth with such information?
Yeah, I think it can. Again, we say that the whistleblowers that came forward in those cases for us in the higher education space were very brave, and this was a number of years ago, and they've suffered the consequences since then, and they were threatened as well. They've been followed, and their lives are it's extremely disencouraging for whistleblowers to know that they go through this. And we've seen less and less people coming forward. I mean, we've got a couple of cases that are just so serious, but the whistleblower just refuses. They start giving us the initial information. We know how bad it is, and then they just say they cannot go any further because they will be identified. So we need this process in place to protect them, to a place where they can go for guidance, support, clarity on what is required. And then we need the senior people in these departments. Higher education is one where there is gross maladministration and corruption that takes place in that environment, where the minister continues to appoint people that will perpetuate this problem instead of dealing with it seriously. So I think it goes right to the top. All the ministers need to be involved, and the Minister of Justice needs to be serious about getting the entire cabinet together to say, if we're going to tackle this scourge of whistleblowers not feeling safe, then we have to do it in a combined manner. Problem is that so many people are compromised in higher positions of government that they don't seem to have a desire to get on top of this challenge.
I mean, you also speak about whistleblowers that would now not want to come forth. I mean, given what we are seeing lately, and of course this tragic murder of Van der Merwe. Considering the legal and the political landscape that you've just painted now, what do you then think are the key barriers to establishing truly anonymous reporting channels, and how these can overcome to enhance the safety of some of these witnesses?
Well, I think first of all, we need to, most of these institutions and government departments have their own whistleblowing lines, but nobody trusts them. And we've seen that where people do report corruption. It involves people in senior positions, and those are the people that get the information and start the trumped up charges. So we need an entity, a mechanism that goes right to the top, that is absolutely safe, that is away from these various departments, that can hear and assess and evaluate the extent of the risk and the relevance of the information given and how serious this matter is, and then take it from there. Make sure that they are well guided, make sure that they understand exactly the risks that are involved, and see if they need protection. And I think if we get that right, we'll be able to start protecting them. But that mechanism has to be put in place with legislation, and it needs to be well funded. And government has been talking about this for many years now, and they've done very little. So there is little regard for the role of whistleblowers as far as we're concerned from a government point of view, and they have to change that approach.
And any lessons that you think we as a country can learn from other jurisdictions that have successfully balanced that transparency and ensuring that witnesses are protected, especially in these high-risk corruption cases?
Yeah, look, I think we don't even have to reinvent the wheel. Let's go and find the best practice around the world and how this is done. Because if we don't, then we'll become another Colombia, another Ecuador, a gangster state environment where people who want to speak out are just taken out. And we're seeing this happening right now. So we really need to go and find what is best practice, use our legislation as well. We've got great laws. We've seen in the Madlanga Commission what's going on now. The police are compromised. We've got to start there as well. So it's complex. There's no silver bullet here, but I think it starts right from our policing and how we're going to clean out the rot and start protecting whistleblowers, and using that information effectively to start clamping down on these corrupt syndicates.
Well, certainly the Madlanga Commission has come to a break, at least for now, up until next year, and we certainly do hope that that review process will assist in ensuring that people are protected, but the right information is given out there for us to be able to find the answers with regards to corruption and criminal infiltration within the justice system. That was OUTA CEO Wayne Duvenage. Thank you so much for your time. Now, the community of Copesville in KZN is calling for the arrest of a woman who allegedly stabbed her husband to death in front of their children following a domestic dispute. Pilam Tembo has more details about this shortly. Hey Pilar, it's Katlego here. Are you well and can you hear me?
Yes, Kat, good morning. I am well and I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Who are you speaking to?
I'm going to speak to the husband's uncle,
Oh, okay.
so the victim in this case.
Hectic. Okay. Thank you. Welcome back. The Mwelasa family in Copesville in KZN is calling for the arrest of a woman who allegedly murdered her husband following a fight. 35-year-old Fanny Mwelase was first assaulted with a bottle, then stabbed multiple times in front of their children. The community condemned the incident, which has sent shockwaves throughout the area. Newzroom Africa's Pilam Tembu is in Pietermaritzburg for us and joins us now live. Pila, thank you so much for joining us and a very good morning to you. This is quite a tragic incident given that it also happened in front of their children. Do we know what led to this altercation and ultimate tragic death?
Good greetings to you, Katleho. And, you know, it's a very somber mood here. We are seated just outside the family home, and this is exactly where the incident happened. So I'm going to be getting into conversation with the uncle to the victim as well as the sister. But from the conversation that we had with them before we actually went live, you know, they just gave us details, chilling details, reliving what they had been told, because when this particular incident happened, it was just the couple inside the house as well as the children. We understand that a dispute ensued between the both of them, and then this resulted to the fatal stabbing. And what the family had also told us is that, in fact,